Right, just a quick Saturday chat. I don't know whether to make this a regular thing, but I was doing a bit of editing there. I've literally been editing for about 3 hours there non-stop. I've had quite enough, so I thought, you know what, I'll come and annoy the subscribers. I'll annoy someone else, like I'm getting annoyed with the editing. So I'll just quickly go over what I'm doing. I'm finalizing some editing on the Nebo Mycro. That's the Nebo Mycro there. Very small, compact, and light headlamp. What I've been doing is I've been out and I've compared it with Bush. I've been comparing it with these. I understand, yes, before anyone says they're massive and heavy and they've got big batteries and the output around 1,000 lumens and that doesn't. I understand it's not a fair comparison, but I think it's worth comparing them with what else is on the market in regards to headlamps, not necessarily just something that's exactly the same size. So I do realize that it's a bit of a silly comparison, but I wanted to do that because I've championed a lot of these. My favorite is still at the minute the Sofern SP40, very cheap, pretty light, 18650 form factor, orange peel reflector, so you're getting a little bit of throw. Still like the tint, and I still like the way they've actually made this bowl wide enough so you're getting enough peripheral vision, which is great for hiking and things like that. So I appreciate the fact that they've done that. So still a big fan of that, but obviously that's about 30 bucks. I mean, I know prices are changing at the minute with batteries and things like that, but that's around 15 to sort of 18 bucks. You're looking at about 13 to 15 Great British pounds if you're in the UK there. So big difference there. But there are some quick things I want to talk about. Obviously, the full review will be up, and unfortunately for people who want to watch that, that's going to be about an hour long. But I know a lot of the people on the channel enjoy my longer reviews, so they'll probably enjoy that. So in regards to this, and I'm not going to go over all of these because we could go on for hours. I'm going to stick to quick thoughts of this, and then I'm going to just show you another little item that I'm going to be looking at later on. So in regards to this one, it's very light. I mean, look at the size. It's a 2-pointer, and when I say 2-pointer, I mean that this goes around the head. I mean, compare that to most of these. These are 3-pointers. If I get that out of the way, I'll give you a better look at what I mean there is. By a 3-pointer, I mean, look, it's attaching 1, 2, and 3. So this goes over the top much better when it's a heavier light, which these are. These are full aluminum or aluminium if you're in the UK, and they've got a larger cell in. They are much heavier, so you need that because otherwise you get what's called droop. In other words, there's nothing to stop it doing this and rotating down. And it's, if you pick up the pace, you're hiking quickly, or in fact you're running or anything like that, it starts jiggling up and down like that, and it feels like you're at a rave from the 1990s or something like that, and it can be a little bit irritating. Not really an issue with this because it's so light, and you can tighten this enough where it will be against the head and perfect. I've had no problems with this. Now there are problems now, although it's light and great, and you can tilt it. Look, you can tilt it to various different angles there. See, and it actually uses, it's actually a plastic system. You see there, just where the fingernail is there, you can see it catches on those grooves. Even though that's plastic, it certainly hasn't worn away in the time that I've used it, and it's over 2 weeks now I've been using this. So I have finalized the review there, and I'm editing that now. But it does come with a clip. I mean, you've got this metal clip which is removable. It's nice to see at least it's metal, and you can put this on a cap or webbing or clothing, especially on a cap. You can put it on your cap like that, and you can tilt this to where you want it to be. A nice feature, very welcome. The problems I have had with this is when you're charging this, and it is a USB chargeable, so here that is. So if I open that there's just a little, it's a usual flap, and then it's micro USB, and you do get a free cable with that, which is great. However, here's the problem. You can't use it whilst it's charging. Big problem for me that if you're camping or you want extended run times and you want to plug that in, you can't do that, which is a little bit of a problem. But then you could argue, well, okay, you're complaining about that, but do you really expect to get an added feature like that on a light that's about 15 bucks? That's a fair criticism. Yes, I agree. However, for a headlamp, I think that's something you really need, unless you're just using this as a backup or to fix the car, and a grab light. In other words, it's in the glove box or whatever, or the trunk of the car, and you just grab it or something like that. That's fair enough. The other problem, and it may or may not show up because we're in a light environment here, it's during the day in the UK. We'll turn it on. You may or may not see it. Actually, I can see it on screen there. There's some flickering. What's happening there is this is using pulse width modulation. In other words, the light is turning on and off rapidly. Now, unfortunately, that rapid change isn't close enough together where it's imperceptible. It is perceptible, and it's a little bit irritating. On lower levels, what I'll do is I'll turn that down to a lower level. There, You may see it more. I can see it in the display here, but you may not see that because this has been uploaded as a live stream and it's going to drop the quality to around 720. So you may not see that, but you may see some banding, and that is an artifact of the fact that this is turning on and off, and the display here is picking that up, which is unfortunate. It does have secondary modes. You've got two lights here. They both illuminate at the same time, and I'll show you that. So if we go through the modes there, again, this isn't a full review. You've got green light mode, which was okay up close, and red light, which again was okay up close. The problem is, at this range, it's fine. You can do things, but imagine this is going to be on your head. So it's going to be back here, way back, right up on the head here. By the time you do that, and especially if you're stood and you're looking down, there's not a lot of light reaches the floor. So I wasn't able to use the red light mode on this to go walking, whereas I can just get away with it on something like the Nightcore HC65 or indeed the Woburn H1. You're not going to get away with it with this, unfortunately. There just wasn't enough light. One exception to that was I sat cross-legged and I did something in total darkness out in the middle of nowhere. I was able to manipulate a piece of machinery and make a cup of tea. That was it. But that's because my head was close to the ground. Walking along, I certainly wouldn't trust that. In regards to usable modes on this, it goes 150 on high. And I'll show you that. So we'll go with the highest mode. That's high, 150, get about an hour on that. Fine, nice and wide, not as wide as some of the others, unfortunately. But although it's a TIR, it's not particularly wide here. But they're trying to get the light that they have got and go forward. If they spread that out too much, it would look too light. So it's usable. It certainly works as a headlamp, and you get about an hour. I tested it on a long hike, and I got about, I think it took me 45 minutes in total, and that was on a full charge, and there was definitely light left. I didn't have a problem with that. Now, if you want turbo, you've got to click and hold. 2 seconds. Boom, there's turbo. Turbo's great. You get 400 lumens, and it certainly comes up near these other lights. It certainly does the job. I was impressed with that. The problem is that's going to drain the battery rapidly and heat rises quickly. As a result of that, this is running at 400 at this moment in time, but watch what happens. After only 30 seconds, it drops down to 150 lumens, which gives you an hour. So if you watch here, of course it's not going to do it now, is it? Come on, step down here, swap. Unless I've missed it, there you go, right? After 30 seconds, it stepped down there. Not too much, but just you need to bear that in mind. So when you see shots of people with this at 400 lumens saying, look at this, I can see this eagle 10 miles away. Yeah. That's all very well, but that only lasts 30 seconds, and that's rapidly draining the cell. If you imagine that 150 lumens drains it in an hour, I'm sure you can do your own mathematics and work out that if you're running this at 400 lumens, it isn't going to last very long, and you're going to have to constantly turn it back on, right? So turn it back up again, right? It's going to step down, turn it back on, a little bit irritating, but it's not made for that. It's a cheap light, it's light, and it's small. In regards to build, pretty good. I've had no problems, not falling to bits. Pretty good so far for the price, and it's metal and plastic, because I know someone did ask if I can get this to focus. Sorry about that. Come on, focus, you swine. There, nearly focused. It's plastic, and then you have a metal ring. There you go, it's focused now. This section with the Nebo Mycro is metal, and you have metal screws here with like a hex head on. I haven't taken it to bits. I might do that at some point, but it was okay. It's only IPX4, but I'm going to do a full review of this in due time. So enough of that. I'll move on with that. It's something else I was going to look at. I don't know whether to put it on the channel because I don't know whether people are interested. I mean, I did take a look at the XTAR charger. Now, the interesting thing about this was, yes, it's a charger with Type C and power delivery, and also a standard USB Type A section there. The interesting thing, obviously, about this was, well, for me anyway, you can use your flashlight cells in it. So you can take an 18650, or I've got a 21700 in there. I think that's a 40T by Samsung. Let's have a check. Yes, it's a Samsung 40T. So as you can see, you've got this section which goes up and down. It's spring loaded. I did have a comment from somebody. I do apologize. I can't remember everyone who makes comments, so I'm not purposefully forgetting your name. But I think he said there may be some problems with some people had problems with this. I've never had problems with this. I've got cells in and out of this all the time. I've carried it. I've put it in backpacks. I've thrown it downstairs. I've banged it around in cars. Never had an issue. Look, in, out, no problems. I've had big cells in, smaller cells, protected cells. I haven't personally had any issues, and it still works fine. And I love the feature of this has 2 sections here, and a magnet section, so you can literally just stick the door in there and it doesn't come off. Brilliant. And if I remember rightly, there you go. So there's your capacity at this moment in time, and that's what it's going to deliver. So around 5 volts. It will go up to about sort of 10 volts, depending on how many amps or whether it's using power delivery or something like that. And it'll show you your amperage that it's putting out. So with that in mind, now look at the size of that, and look at the size of that. This is something else that I usually carry, especially if I'm camping on a single nighter. If it was a double nighter, I'd probably go for something like a 2200 capacity. This is 12, I think is it 1200 milliamps? Let's have a look. I forget. Let's have a look. Okay, so it will do Type C output, and it says it's 1000. Oh, sorry, there you go, 12,000 milliamps. So 10,000 are the usual small size ones. That's 12,000. It's pretty heavy. Unfortunately, it's a little bit heavy to the bottom, so it's a bit lopsided. But I've had no problems with this. It's great. Now, yes, you're probably thinking, well, hang on, all he ever does is rabbit on about power delivery and Type C. Well, he hasn't even got a Type C there. I have. These are Type A, but on the side, you can put juice in with a micro USB, but you also have a Type C, which is in and out. So if you want to use a Type C to Type C, or charge it with a Type C, not a problem. And that's how I use this one. And in fact, I think, yeah, it's full at the minute. So pretty big and bulky. So compare that to this new one, which I'm looking at. Now, I've never heard of Iniu, whoever the hell that is, but I was quite impressed with the stats on this one. So you get a little bag, which I definitely wouldn't be using. A manual, which I can't be bothered to read. I can't be bothered with that sort of thing. There's a free cable, lovely. Right, let's get this out. Let's have a look here. There's some of the things if you really want to read that. It's actually the power bank BI-B61. It's using, it'll go up to power delivery V3 and quick charge. It's got QC there. That just stands for quick charge. Quick charge is an implementation of the, well, it's a kind of a bastardization really of the type of the USB specifications in regards to something that the company Qualcomm came up with. And it's quick charge 4. You also have Apple do a charging standard, and then you have OnePlus do dash charge. If you want to know about all these different competing things, you can go to, I think I did a review on USB types. In fact, it was called Type C or power delivery. It's on the channel here, and I did a lengthy look at all the different connectors, what they mean, why they're different, what a version 3 is over a version 2, and why you need little different things, and how much you can put through, and what a Type C to Type C is. And there's a Type C. It's omnidirectional. It doesn't matter whether you put it in that way or turn it around and put it in that way. So I'm looking forward to having a look at this, but look at the size, watch. So yes, I understand this is slightly bigger in regards to capacity, but not that much bigger. And look, much smaller. And this one has a screen, so if it's got any charge in it, there, it's got a screen. So it tells you the capacity, and it will also tell you what's happening, charging, going in and out and things like that. And it will produce a theoretical maximum anyway, 22.5 watts fast charge. So nice to see. In fact, there's the specs there. So cell capacity, it's 10,000 milliamps. Right, power delivery input, it'll take 5 volts at 3 amps. That's pretty good. It'll also push the voltage up to 9 volts if it's whacking in 2.2 amps, or it'll go up to 12 volts at 1.5 amps. Very interesting. And then it's got output, so we're not talking charging here, we're talking when you're charging from this device. 5 volts at 3 amps, brilliant. So that's pretty high. I'll probably be using this for the phone predominantly. And then output 1 and 2. When it's talking about output 1 and 2, you see on the left and right there, you've got output 1, output 2. And then the reason it's got PD, that just stands for power delivery. In other words, there's some level of negotiation which goes on between the two devices. So if I've got one, let's have a look. There's one. So here's a cable here. So this is a Type C to Type C. So can you see both ends are Type C. So what happens is that would go in there, and then you'd plug that into whatever needs charging. So let's see if I've got something which takes Type C. I don't know if I've got anything on me. That one might take it. Let's see if that takes. This is power delivery compatible. Yes, it is. So that's charging there. So power delivery is just where you take a Type C to Type C. So there's a little bit of negotiation goes on there. So that's charging there. Now it's very similar. Obviously, you know, you get a similar effect to if you go from Type A. There's Type A. And then we'll do exactly the same, Type A to Type C. We'll go into exactly the same light. Helps if you take that off. And again, charging. and that's the capacity of the cell. So pretty interesting. And when that's charging, I think you get a little flash thing there which tells you that it's actually charging. So I'm pretty impressed. I think this here on the back, let's have a look. This is some sort of, if you've got a mobile phone or cell phone or whatever you call them in America, let's have a look, or smartphone or whatever they're called these days. That's it. So that comes out and you're supposed to be able to plug your phone in and charge it whilst propping it up there and, I don't know, watching Disney Plus while you while the hours away. Who knows what that's for, but it's there. But I'd never heard of this company, and I just thought, I want something smaller, because when this is in my pocket, it's irritating. Also, what irritates me is the button goes on too easily. That gets knocked on. Not that it's an issue, but the problem with this one is they tried to be a master of all trades, and they thought, right, we'll put an LED light in there. I don't want that LED light on, because if you press and hold, or you press it on twice or something, I can't remember now. There, the light comes on. That's just wasting juice. I would never use that because I've already got an EDC. Then how on earth do you turn it off? Is it 3 or 1 or? There, now it's flashing. There, now it's off. So I don't like that. I was going to open this and disconnect that with a pair of snips, but I've left it because I generally run this from a bag, and I have the cable hanging when I'm out hiking or things like that. But I'm probably going to move over to this, especially for the Type-C. And according to the literature on this, you can be charging from here, here, and here all at the same time. So 3 devices all at once, brilliant. And it shouldn't knock these down on output too much. So quite happy to have a look at that. So I just want to have a quick chat on Saturday, because I'm getting a bit sick of editing. I will go back to doing that now. And like I say, the review of the Mycro should be up soon. And I wanted to send a quick shout out to Nebo Mycro, who's been helping the channel, and also a guy called Alaska. Now, I don't know whether that's a play on words for Alaska. You can probably stick that in the comments, mate, if you want, but he's been supporting the channel as well. So I think it's important that I take time to appreciate and say thank you to people who go out of their way to help the channel. So thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate that. So enough sort of me wobbling on here. I'm going to go and do a bit more editing. I'll be out later on because I still haven't finished checking this is the Lumentop FWAA. If you remember the FW3A, which is the bigger one, I'm not going to go rooting through cupboards now, but this is the smaller one, and it's using a 14500 battery. I'll show you that. So basically very similar, there you go, 14500 cell size, so very similar to a AA. So if I've got any, let's have a look. I don't know if I've got any AA's knocking about. I've got billions of batteries. No, I should have taken some out. Never mind. It's basically the same as that. This happens to be a flat top, and this is a 1000 milliamp hours, but this is lithium. So because it's lithium ion, it's 3.7 volts, and it's putting up out maximum of 10 amps. So very different from what you would get from a standard alkaline cell like a Duracell or one of the other AA's. Even though it looks the same, the chemistry is different. I've been pretty impressed with this so far. I know some people are saying, oh, I've heard people having hell with the buttons. Never had any problems yet. Watch, I'll show you. And I quite like the tint. It's 3 emitters behind the TIR. You can see the TIR set up there. I'll just show you that. Yeah, pretty nice. Got a little bit of a hot spot there, but as you pull out, that disappears. Look, typical Lumentop. Every time I get a Lumentop, I'm happy with them. I probably prefer a deep carry clip, but this does the job, and it's kind of reversible in that you can use it that way or that way. Had no problems with it yet. I'm still learning Anduril version 2 because I've gone from version, I think it was version 1.4 or 1.2, whatever it was. So I've now got to learn version 2. The main difference between Anduril, the older versions, and version 2 is, and I understand why they've done this, they've kind of locked away a lot of the more advanced features. And I think the reason they've done that is to make it more commercially viable. Because if you make things too complicated, people don't enjoy them. There's a reason why not everyone, goes and buys a grand piano, and it's not just price. It can be very complicated where some people just want a little keyboard. People don't necessarily need a billion options, and I understand that. For flashaholics like us, we love it. More options are better. But a lot of people don't like that. And I think, and last week I pointed out that this is actually quite small for my hands. Look, it makes it quite difficult to be a tail clicker. You'd kind of want a little bit more length. So I'm still using the Ozzy Osbourne grip. There you go. Rock on. Anyway, right, enough of me waffling. I'm sorry to have taken up too much of your time. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Wish me luck editing. I'll keep going. So thank you very much for joining me. Review of this will be up soon. I might do a review for this if people really care, but I just wanted to show you size-wise. I'm really impressed with that. Look, slimmer, smoother. Weight-wise, about similar, maybe it's a little bit more, but very small, much more pocketable. So I'm looking forward to having a look at this, and I'll give it a shot. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a nice weekend, and I'm off.